Hello patients, you're welcome to Boya, the city of legendary hospitality, at the foot of the mountain where we have the freshest atmospheric conditions. Today we're going to be meeting somebody that many people know him as a TV figure, communication icon, and he's the spokesperson of the major national dialogue. And I want to tell you what, he is using cinema in crusading for peace. No other person than George Ewane. Mr. George Ewane, we are glad to have you on the program today.
Thank you very much, it's my pleasure.
Wow. I feel really honored talking to you today, having you today on Cameroon Feeling.
Well, I'm also honored and humbled to be guest on Cameroon Feeling. I hope Cameroonians get the feeling this morning. I think it's good to be with Cameroonians again, to be on Cameroon Feeling, to be with patients who does a wonderful job, like you just said, and to be with you with the passion and enthusiasm. I think it's good. Thank you for having me on your set.
Okay, now let's discover a little bit about George Ewane. And let's discover something little before we get into how George Ewane got into cinema, because I was really surprised.
Yeah, I'm surprised how I got into cinema. Well, many people know me. I'm George Ewane. I'm a professor in the University of Yaoundé, number 1. That is NGIDE. I'm central director for radio, but before then I was in charge of sovereignty activities at the Cameroon Radio Television, where I actually handled especially the communication of the President of the Republic for 18 years. Then I was also technical advisor for the Director General in charge of diversification and international action. Today I'm central director for radio, professor in the University of Yaoundé 1, and spokesperson for the major national dialogue.
Very important,
yes.
Because many people are talking about these short movies, short films that are all about peace and the need for peace to return to Cameroon and all of that. And in CAMIF 2021, one of those movies were showcased. Tell us about it.
Taking our inspiration from the president's ideology of having Cameroon completely peaceful, especially after the before, during and after the major national dialogue. And as spokesperson for this major national dialogue, we thought that we could add a little bit to what the government has been doing, to what the president has done, in order for peace and normalcy to reign once again, totally and completely, in the northwest and the southwest regions of Cameroon, but also in the rest of the country. So we came up with this idea of little short write-ups, scripts, in the Pidgin language. Nelson Mandela says if you want people to understand you, speak the language
the best understand.
So we thought that the Pidgin language was the best language we could use. So we had these little short scripts, which fortunately were materialized by the Department of Performing Arts of the University of Yaoundé number 1 and made them into films. And we were surprised by the result. I'm not a film producer, I'm not a film actor, I'm not anything in the film industry, but we were surprised that CAMIF got interested in some of the productions that we have, and they decided to screen them during the CAMIF festival here in Boya. We were invited to be part of it, and the surprise is there.
Okay, Cavino, it's time we go to CAMIF and discover Mr. George Ewane at the CAMIF 2021. Let's see how it all happened.
If you rape me, what will happen? I will don't die sing the day we will kill my master. But we will not fit key truth. That foolish war we will did one so now foolish. If we not kill all man now, what you go do? We not don't stop school for 4 years. Now collect the obele. Who the loss? Foolish picking them.
Hey! I don't tell you that no one here that you know again.
How if you be your own mommy? Now which can nonsense that?
Ma picking them. We now go bury that gun them for ground. Ma tell you now the truth. They no fit divide the country. We now come. We join and build this country together. Ma picking a beg. Bring down that gun.
I think the most important thing here is the role of the woman in resolving the crisis that we have in our country. Because the woman has a primordial role to play. These children are children that have been brought up by women. Women have a powerful voice.
This short film is on education. We have other short films on the horrors of war. Because during war, nobody wins, everybody loses. So those are the little things we're trying to bring. We talk about reconstruction. But over and above all, we have films that have to do with social cohesion. We talk about hate speech. I'm from Bakosi land. This is your own land in Bakuri, but I feel free. You should be able to feel free in Bakosi land.
Of course.
The tags of Come No Go and Glow, Bami, Grafi, they do not advance our nation. So we're doing some of these short films about education, social cohesion. We're trying to educate not only Cameroonians, but also educate the whole world to the importance of this social cohesion, of people living together as a community. And I think I want to thank the CAMIF officials for giving us that opportunity, and also the United Nations Development Program that are the sponsors of CAMIF. We have an opportunity now to build back better through the presidential plan. I've heard people say that you cannot do reconstruction when the war is going on. No, because reconstruction becomes part of the confidence building mechanism.
Okay.
It is very important. That also is a step towards ending the war or ending a conflict. I think Cameroonians have suffered a lot, and I think one more life lost is one life too much. We have to put an end to that. We thank CAMIF, we thank the PPRD and UNDP for bringing all of this together. We hope that things are going to get better.
Most people say, this is Popo's PP.
Mm-hmm.
Most people know
personal person.
Personal person.
Yes.
And inside the presidency, how did this guy get here? This Anglophone guy, this young English-speaking journalist. What magic? Tell us about it.
Yes, I've heard all kinds of things and stories about how I got to the presidency. But I think it's one of those stories of resilience.
Okay.
And hard work is also very important. But I also tell my students that besides resilience and hard work, you have your comportment and your deportment. How do you behave? How do you carry yourself when you even walk in the streets? They're very important. How did I become the anchor of inside the presidency? I should say it's my creation.
Okay.
It's not like the program existed, then I just came and did the presentation. No. In 1999, 31st of March to the 17th of April 1999, there was a Mount Cameroon eruption, the famous eruption that lava flowed down to Bakingili. And at CRTV, nobody wanted to cover the eruption because Boya was emptied. Everybody was in Tico and out of the area for fear of the lava flow. And it sounded like kind of punishment, all right, for me to go and cover the eruption in Boya. So I came with Daniel, and he said, Noah was my teacher in the School of Journalism. He taught me radio techniques, but we were doing mostly television. So when we arrived here, we met Chivin Daly, and he said, there was no lava flow in this way, so we couldn't have the pictures. Television is so I had to go up the mountain. That's the first time I took this other slope to go up the mountain, and every luggage we had was thrown on the way, except the camera and the sound and whatever. We had people carry their bags and water. That was the most important thing. And behold, when we arrived at the mountain, we saw, I never saw something like that. I'm sure I'm not going to see that again. A river of lava flowing down towards Bakingili, chopping every little thing on its way. As a young journalist, I just told Bibum, Sam Bibum, and late Tizzy, may his soul rest in peace. I told them, turn the camera on me and I'll do a stand-up. I said, my lad. I said, no, I'm going to do a stand-up.
So that's risky, right?
Risky, right. So I do a stand-up and say, okay, you see what you find behind me is a whole river of lava and whatever kind of thing. And while I was talking, a vent opens up. Boom, another one. I said, so you see there's another vent opening up. So that creates panic at home. Myself, as a young reporter, you don't even know what's happening to you. You just want to get the scoop. You want to bring the news to the people. So we did that on a daily basis. And the president had to come to Boya, to Bakingili, because the lava was almost crossing the road, and the president left Yaoundé, came to Bakingili. I was told that when the president was coming, his team of reporters had to come with him. At that time it was Charles Dongo, Minister Joseph Lee, my big brother Ngomba Ndeli, and Full Peter. That was the presidential team. So, but the president left them behind, and somebody told somebody that I was told, there's a young man in Boya, he will cover my arrival.
Wow.
And since it was also dangerous.
Wow.
So when the president arrived, he landed at Bakingili with Chief Ephraim Inonu, was then the Deputy Secretary General of the Presidency of the Republic. They came out of the helicopter, and the only person the president recognized was me. And he said, Mr. English, where is the lava? I cannot forget that day, right? So Mr. English, where is the lava? I told him, I spare you the rest. All right, we came up to Poto quarters, where they had some fissures on the walls. We visited the presidency, which also had some cracks. And I asked the president, you've seen the road from mile 17 to Boya town, to where we are. if the eruption occurs from this end of the slope, everybody is going to die. Don't you think something should be done for the roads in Boya? And the president said, from the junction down there to Ovia, how many kilometers? Panicking, I said, I was Jean Matthias Komiko too. I mean, they were standing aside. And I said, it's 17 kilometers. Actually, I did not, my 17 to, yeah, I did not the estimate. So the president said, I've given instructions from next week, Boya, I'll have 17 kilometers of tarred roads. And when this work started, they realized that from my 17th junction to the governor's office, it's about 7.5 kilometers, maximum 8. And that's how they started extending to the quarters. Wow. So what you have in Boya today is a result of the Mount Cameroon eruption and the questions we asked to the president. And so as soon as we came back to Yaoundé, 2 days later, Professor Gervais Mendoze, may he so rest in perfect peace, called me and said, where's your passport? A young man who had never had a passport before. I said, I have a passport. He said, enter into the car. He took me to the General Delegation of National Security. They did a passport for me. They gave me a visa in the Swiss Embassy. I traveled that same night. Guess who? Mr. Shandongo. He was now Director General. And I like what he told me. He said, George, you are like a reserve player in this team. If you play well, you remain the main player. If you don't play well, you will never be part of this team again.
And you took the challenge. And
I took the challenge, went to Geneva, and my reports were, those who listened and watched said they were marvelous. When I came back, I was appointed as assistant. So we created inside the presidency, President's Actu, parliamentary echoes, and all those other programs that you can imagine. And I stayed behind the president for 18 years, covering his events, moving from one country to the other, covering activities at the presidency, the parliament, Prime Minister's office, National Assembly, National Gendarmerie, because that's what you call sovereignty. All right. So the message here is not the beauty of covering the president. The message here is the message of resilience. Yes, that you can use
even a challenging moment. Yes, to step up your game.
Yes, that you use a challenging moment like the Mount Cameroon eruption, and then it pushes you to the fore, brings you to the limelight, and you stay there. It's difficult to stay at the top. Very, very difficult to stay at the top. We tried for 18 years.
Do you mind sharing with us?
Yes.
Your secret, what's that?
Yeah, my secret is hard work.
Okay.
And innovation. In everything I do, I ensure that I do it better than I did it the previous day.
Tell us, are there some little skeletons, other things in the cupboard we need to discover about Mr. George Iwane? Because we did not know this about you before now.
Okay.
So maybe we'll get to discover some other aspects. Your leisure, what do you do? What are those things that make you you?
I do so many things. It's difficult to really say what we do. Generally, I'm a very disciplined person.
Okay.
I do a lot of sports too. I like cooking. If you want to know some of those, yes,
I wish we could go to the kitchen already. So what's that favorite delicacy like cooking?
Oh, esuba. You know what they call esuba?
Esuba and kwankala.
And kwankala. Well, as I'm again, my traditional meal, like we grew up in that. But I also cook other meals. I don't have time to cook, but when I have time to cook, find time
I'm
to
sure
cook.
your wife is one blessed woman.
Yes, she doesn't want me to cook.
She doesn't want you because she feels like you can give a special touch.
Women don't like when you take power from them.
Of course.
Yes, because that's a woman's sector. So let them be where they are. But once in a while you can do that. I think it's also important.
What message are you giving out to those watching you at this moment?
I'll look at them straight in the eyes and say, I have just one message. And this message is resilience. The word resilience is very important. Above everything else, be resilient. No matter where you come from, no matter what you are, no matter what you do, you will meet obstacles on the way. Use those stumbling blocks as stepping stones and forge ahead. The English-speaking Cameroon today is noted for being the best in music, the best in cinema, the best in so many things. That was not the case before.
That's true.
You know why they became the best? Because they realized that they had an obstacle in terms of entering to professional schools and doing other things. And they realized that you have a natural talent to you. I can sing. They are the best. Everywhere. My friend Ibrahim Sherif, not to mention him, told me, he said, I hear that Anglophones and Francophones are separating. I said, well, I'm not in that. He said, okay, si vous partez, partez avec tout, mais laissez-nous avec les artistes. So you understand what I'm saying? Leave us with the artists that we have. Leave us with Daphne.
Who's your favorite artist?
Petit Pays, unfortunately.
Hey. Okay. And what's your favorite track? Because we might have to have a piece of it before taking it over.
There you are in trouble with me. I love the song Aloba.
Okay.
All right. That talks about God. God, and the fact that God is everything in his life and all of that. I don't know how to sing it, unfortunately. If you sing it, I can dance. But since I don't know how to sing it, maybe just look for it and play it at the background, yes, and then we'll be able to dance after.
It's been a wonderful time having you today on Cameroon Feeling. Thank you so much, Professor George Ewane, for coming on board.
It's a pleasure. I'm happy with what you guys are doing. Thank you for having me on your program. It's a beautiful program. I thank you very much. In fact, I'm honored and humbled. Just one message, that's we journalists always talk a lot, that above all else, let us make this country our country. We should be proud of our country. We should be proud of our nation. We should be proud of who we are, in spite of the problems that we have, in spite of the wars and blues and all of that. There is no country where there are no problems.
That was Professor George Ewane for you, and it's been really great. And if I gather two things, resilience, and we should be proud of whom we are, just as it's echoed in this piece done for us by Witty Mistral. Be proud of whom we are. At this juncture, we have to say our goodbyes on the program. Patience, it's been a great time out here in Boya, and without much ado, with the rest of the team from Boya, we say our goodbyes.